So since today's topic is really, about effective communication at the workplace,
Mhm.
a good place to really start is, especially with your expertise, it'd be good to understand why it is important to really have effective communication skills in the workplace compared to simply just being yourself.
That's a really good question, actually. I think there's nothing wrong with being yourself. I mean, you definitely should strive to manifest healthy elements, healthy main point, healthy elements and values of your personality within the workplace. So, for example, being hardworking or reliable or dedicated, definitely, you should try to manifest that within the workplace. But of course, given that we are all unique individuals with different perspectives, thoughts, and beliefs, it's important for us to be mindful of what are some of the communicative techniques that can enhance and maybe improve the dynamics in a workplace environment. So you can still be yourself, but
Yeah.
it's good to just be mindful that, okay, we're in a situation where there are so many different types of personalities and people. It would be good to pick up some skills and strategies so that we can be effective, and we can create job satisfaction. There'll be lesser conflict as well, and overall just increase productivity. Yeah. In my work, like, I find that the clients who come in, who have supportive like managers or bosses, they feel a sense of like psychological safety, where they feel like they will not be punished or humiliated for speaking out their ideas and concerns. People usually who work in that type of work environment tend to thrive in as opposed to like cultures where everyone's just kind of like rushing the deadlines and just having a lot of their own hidden agendas. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, that's a good point. I think psychological safety is, and apart from having great managers who lend great support to you, I think it's also just ensuring that there's some level of certainty in the
Yeah.
workplace, right?
Yeah.
Just making sure, like, you're not always looking over your shoulder or having to worry about, especially during the times of COVID where your job security is affected. I think
Exactly.
all these, especially in my personal experience, kind of change the way you communicate in the workplace as
Mm.
well. Everyone maybe might sometimes turn into like survival mode almost.
Yes, it's true. It's true. Like they all go into like they all go into this mode where they are surviving and they're not thriving. So they're just so focused on like and it's really just driven by anxiety because they don't like the situation they're in and they just feel very out of control. So the way they cope with that is just by keeping to the here and now and just trying to like get to the next day. Yeah, but definitely like now in the circumstances that we live in, with a lot of companies doing like Zoom meetings or working from home, all the more it's important to have effective communication because that will become like the thing that you try to rely on since you can't actually understand the nuances that come from face to face interaction. Yeah.
Yeah. How does one even know if we're communicating effectively or not?
That's another good question, Nick.
Well, thank you.
I wrote it out.
I'm on a roll today.
Well, I think definitely having self-awareness is important, to maybe before you start work, just in your own quiet reflection time, to ask yourself like, how do I want to present myself at work? What are some of the qualities that I want to manifest? And then when you do go to work, just be mindful of, what your body language is like, how people react to you. Like if you notice that people tend to, sometimes we do this thing where we mirror the other person, how the other person is responding to us. So if we are speaking really quickly and then the person that we're talking to gets very flustered as well, then maybe we should take a step back and realize that, okay, maybe we are being a little bit kanchiong, maybe we're being a bit like overly anxious around this person, or a lot of people tend to be non-confrontive, especially in like the Asian context, where we're not the type of people who usually confront our bosses or supervisors or address issues like, head on. So we tend to avoid. So sometimes that avoidance behavior as well can be, not very disadvantageous in the work setting. So I think just having that awareness of what's going on and also to be aware of your own thought patterns, that is something that's important to be mindful of. So if you notice that, you have a tendency to jump to certain conclusions, like for example, they didn't invite you for an office lunch, let's say, and then you automatically think like, oh, they don't like me, but actually it's not that. They were planning your birthday party, so,
Right.
or if you have the fear of failure, if you realize that internally you have this fear that, okay, you're going to mess up. So definitely that anxiety will be projected in how you operate in your workplace. You either may be very tense, or you might just assume that people will automatically not believe in you, or may think that you're being incompetent. So these are some of the things, in a nutshell, to be mindful of, so that you have an idea of like whether or not you're communicating effectively in work.